the previous videos, we talked about developing the program objectives and the program outcomes. Now let us talk about how do we construct the learning outcomes. You may use the ABCD model. A stands for the audience, B stands for the behavior, C conditions, and D is the degree. First is the audience. The learning outcome should clearly state who will be performing the behavior. And this person who is normally referring to the learner, the participant, the employee, the trainee, and not the instructor. Why is this so? This is because the OBE is learner-centric. The focus is always on the learner. Second is the behavior. What behavior should the learners to be able to do? And the behavior is normally represented by the action verb. The action verb will indicate what the learner should be able to do. And this behavior should be something that can be seen, something that is observable. Next, it will be the conditions. Under what conditions do you want the learner to be able to do? These conditions are set for the learners to demonstrate their masteries of the outcomes. Lastly, it will be the degree. How well must it be done? It establishes the standard in which the performance is being evaluated. This is the ABCD model. For better understanding, let us look at the examples. Take this as the learning outcome. Upon completion of this course, students should be able to orally explain 5 principles of theory X. You will see the ABCD models within the learning outcome. The audience now, A, will be the students. The students is the learner for this particular course. Explain will be the behavior. This is an action verb. Orally explain is the conditions, how you would like the students to explain the theories. When it is written, orally explained, that means the explanations will have to be conducted in verbal. Written explanations is not the expected outcome from this course. Lastly, 5 principles will be the degree. With that, you will have A, B, C, and D within the learning outcome. Also remember the principles of SMART outcome. There should be time constraint. This is reflected by the first part of the statement. Upon completion of this course, there should be a specific behavior. Now in this case, we are talking about explaining the principles of theory X. The outcome now is not applying the principles. Therefore, the learning behavior is specific. We want it to be measurable, which in this case, we are talking about 5 principles. There is quantities in terms of the amount of behavior as required from the students. Next, we want it to be actionable, and it should be something that can be observed. With that, the conditions and the behavior will be able to fulfill the requirement. It is easy for us to distinguish whether the students is doing the explanations or not, and also whether the students are explaining verbally or in written. Another common mistake about the actionable here. Sometimes the learning outcome is constructed in the manner that upon completion of this course, students should be able to understand the principles of theory X. Normally, we would not use the term understand, as understand is not something that can easily be observed. Therefore, we should avoid using the term understand. Lastly is about the relevancy. This one will be determined by looking at the course itself, whether the relevant learning outcome is relevant to that particular course. Now, when we talk about the learning outcome, you need to know that there are various levels. We have topic outcome, course outcome, program outcome, and the program objectives. The topic outcome is referring to one specific topic. The scope is narrower and more specific. As for the course outcome here, it's meant for one course. That particular course will cover several chapters. In terms of the scopes, it will be broader than the topic outcome. Now, when it comes to the program outcome, it is now at the program level, covering a wide variety of the courses, and therefore, the relevant scopes are broader, and we will have to look into the purpose of those outcomes. The topic outcomes are normally meant for the monitoring, for us to have a quick check whether the students can cope with the teaching and learning activities. When it comes to the course and the program, we are looking at different perspectives. We want to know whether the course is effective and whether the program is producing good graduates. The principles of constructing the outcome should be similar, A, B, C, D. There will be slight differences in terms of the scopes as well as the expectations at different levels. Taking this as an example, this one seems more like the topic outcome. The topic cover is related to the theory X. Now, after conducting the topic, we would like to check whether the students can cope with the study. Then we do a quick assessment to see if they are able to explain the principles. Let's say now if we are looking at the course level, normally it will involve more chapters. In this case, most likely we would like to see the ability of the students to synthesize knowledge, to have the ability to identify suitable theories or principles in a broader context in order to fit the purpose of the course. You will see when come to the course level, the scope is likely to be broader. The expectations is likely to be higher. Based on the action verb here, we will know the levels of thinking orders as implied by the taxonomy. Now, if you are constructing the outcome at the program level, which is PO, in fact, you can refer to the graduate attribute. Let's say without any guidance of the graduate attribute, theoretically, the program outcome should be developed on the basis how a graduate can function as a graduate engineers in the working industry after completion of the program. Now the purpose is different. The scopes and the emphasis shall focus more on their functionality as an engineer. Let us look at the second example here. By the end of this course, students should be able to design an interactive website using macro media. By looking at the ABCD model, the students will be the audience. Design will be the actions, which is the behavior. The conditions, it will be using the macro media. Now the degree, it will be an interactive website. If you look into the sentence here, designing an interactive website and designing an interactive website using macromedia, there are differences. Let's say if you only require the students to design a website. That means it is regardless whether it is interactive or not. Even though the website is not interactive, the students is still considered achieving the outcome as long as the website is functional. Now, if you do not specify the conditions, the students can use any software, not necessarily the macromedia, as long as the students can produce the website. The students is considered attaining the learning outcome. Now, when the learning outcome is established, so now the website need to be interactive, and the design of the website will have to be on basis of the macromedia. And if you look at the verb here, we are talking about design. That means there will be combinations of various relevant skills as learned from this course. There will be critical inputs from the students, certain degree of creativity and innovations. You will expect uniqueness in terms of the website among the students. There shouldn't be any identical website having totally the same interface and design. And this is what it meant by the learning outcome here. Now, this learning outcome needs to be something measurable. Here it gives you the quantity, one website. And it should be something observable, something that can prove the learning and achievement of the students. So when you see the website produced by the students, this is something observable. There is a time constraint, which is by the end of this course. If the students cannot produce the said website by the end of this course, when the assessment is being carried out, that means this student is considered not attaining the learning outcome. This is how we construct the learning outcome and how do we interpret the learning outcome. Constructing the right learning outcome without any errors or mistakes is one thing. You will need to consider the functions of that learning outcome, servicing the course and the program. It is not just compilations of the learning outcome. Each learning outcome should serve the purpose at different levels, ultimately towards meeting the objective of the programs.